Hey everyone, Raovake Gaming here, community manager for Exodus Games Discord, and just dealing with the community team stuff. Um, Gonna be doing a community podcast and Q&A. I want this to mostly be driven by the questions and whatnot that the community will ask. So I'm not really running on a script here. But I have the idea that I want to open up the floor more to the community for these questions. Right now, there's only two, Shigoki and Astrolam. I hope I pronounced that correctly. There's also a couple questions already in the Ask the Community Manager Discord channel that I will try to cover as well, and anybody else that pops in and joins the Discord, joins the podcast. So I think the first thing I'm going to try to do is deal with the ones that are already posted. Okay, so let's see here. I just want to know if dialing a Milky Way gate to the Pegasus gate will cost more power. That's a good question, and I think me and Astrolamp covered that a little bit in the recent Q&A. We did that in the recent Q&A. I'm fairly sure on that one. We can leave that open to the community for a config file, for a config setting if needed, possibly. Astro would know more about that. Do you want to quickly mention something on that since you're here?
Here we go. I had to press accept. Was not planning on having any different requirements for energy between at least the Atlantis and Pegasus gates. It'll be primarily dependent upon distance. There's some config settings related to that. However, if that's something the community wants, that's something that certainly could be added.
And that wouldn't be too overly difficult for that?
I don't think so. Shouldn't be. I'd have to add another variable or two, but what's another variable? I've got a bazillion of them already.
Okay. Yeah, so as it stands, Captain Remington, we don't plan to have it cost more, but that is something that we can add in if more of the community wants that. Thank you for giving that input, Astrolam. Okay, so Shigoki has one that's already posted. It would definitely be an interesting topic to know what the current plans for the gate overhaul as a whole would look like. I assume that the implementation of new gate mechanics and the Milky Way gate are just the first step of the entire overhaul. But what comes next? In which order are the other gates planned to be implemented? What other features are planned confirmed to be done as part of the gate overhaul? I can speak a little bit on that. I won't go into all of the details right now. Some things are still kind of being formulated. But we do plan to add in the Orlin Gate, the Milky Way Gate, and the Universe Gate. Not necessarily in that order, but we will first have the Milky Way Gate in, and then I think after that, the Orlin and the Universe Gate will be coming almost in tandem because they're both very simple. They don't have any huge amount of animations like the Milky Way Gate does. As for what other mechanics, we want to try to have different storms and whatnot affect it. We want to see if we can implement different things like random gate dialing from like storms or just different events that'll happen where creatures can spawn through the gate, and if you don't have an iris, your base could get swarmed. For a few examples. What comes next? I think one of the things we also want to add in is a little bit of furniture. We need to get models and whatnot for that. We also have a few other things that are still kind of being worked on and played around with for ideas. There is we are trying to get just about everything we can from at least the Stargate mods that are currently for the Gary's mod game. We also plan to add in various weapons and vehicles like the puddle jumper. That'll be much further down the line. We also plan to add in the staff weapon, the Zats, P90s, and whatnot. That's outside of the Gate Overhaul, though. As for the Gate Overhaul, we are also playing around with the idea of adding the Super Gate and having it set as a limit of, like, say, for example, 2. But that can be changed via admin INI configs in the future. So I'm probably going to butcher this name. Noanak. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. I very likely did. Yeah, I was struggling with how to put that into words, Shigoki. There's not much easily accessible information about what is actually intended on being included, and with no roadmap or gate relevant FAQ available, it's hard to judge what info could be construed under the umbrella of ideas or issues. That is not even mostly, partly that is my fault. I just recently got a laptop and whatnot, and I've been struggling to do most of the stuff with just my phone. There are just some things that just don't work with trying to do it on your phone. But now with a laptop, I'm starting to get back into working on the Discord, and I'm also going to be getting back into working on the content guides for Stargate Evolution. That's where the roadmap and FAQs are the FAQs are mostly going to be in the Discord itself, but the roadmap, what's considered ideas. When we talk about ideas in Exodus games, that's more of new mod ideas instead of suggestions for ongoing mods. Issues is anything that's not exactly intended or just seems out of place. And issues may not always seem obvious. And part of that is just, I would guess, the nature of how things work with working on stuff. Especially with the fact that not too much of a roadmap or anything's added or set up yet. But I will be working on that a lot more than I was able to before. I have the general structure for it set up, the general format for the page for the roadmap and whatnot, and the several tabs for it, but there's just not any content in it yet. So that's gonna be something that's going to be handled here, not too soon, but you'll see slow progress over time. Okay, so those are the questions that have already been posed and asked in our Ask the Community Manager Discord channel. Now the floor is open for any current questions that want to be asked. Okay, so Shikoki's got one automatically. Again, I don't know if this is going to be pushed to speak. So accepted the request. There we go.
Yes, I had to accept the request. Okay. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So, the first question that I would like to ask, I watched the video that you two made, and one of the things that I noticed is that the animation for the Milky Way gate is still a little bit off. Like in some instances, the chevron was already locking in place while the ring was still moving, which looks really kind of off if the dialing animation is well, not in sync. Let's say it like that.
I think I'm
Yeah,
gonna
so
let
the
Astro take this one.
animations I know are problematic. It's something that I've decided to put off on fixing until the part 2 of the gate system. Um, yeah, I'm not happy with it, but also animations aren't exactly my forte. I'm more a coder, functionality kind of stuff, unless so visual. But I'll get it sorted. It's work in
Yes,
progress.
I'm pretty sure we mentioned around that area, and Astro mentioned around that area that we know that they're off and they're not going the way they're supposed to be, and that it will be something that's fixed in part 2 of the overhaul. That it is a visually annoying issue, but it makes it take a few seconds longer for the actual dialing to complete. But beyond that, it's not really affecting the rest of the functionalities of the mod or anything. And you also don't have to deal with that issue if you toggle fast dial as well. Um, I just wanted to add that in right there. But the point of putting that off a little bit for part 2 is so that we can get part 1 with the actual gate out and the actual major changes out sooner than doing all the little fine tuning and tweaks that are going to take the longest time for it.
hmm, okay, that's a satisfying answer as well as far as I am concerned.
Yeah, we're not happy with the timing, but it's figuring out the balance between time frame for release, fixing the issues that we're fixing the ones that are game breaking or ones that keep things from functioning, but the smaller visual ones are basically going to come in part 2 or a smaller patch right after.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So I had a second question that I came up with when you said that you want to implement weapons. The Z weapon is a weapon that can, in the series, be used to knock people out instead of killing them. Will this be something you could do with the weapon in Ark? Like using it to tame dinosaurs by knocking them out?
I think that's the route we were considering with it. Um, there are different, since there were like 2 or 3 different versions of the actual shot in this series. At least the idea that I was kind of throwing around, which is not confirmed or denied or anything yet, was there be different bullet types. One be stun, one be freeze, and one would be like health or killing. Um, but we did have the plan and idea to when we have that implemented to, of course, set that up as some kind of stun, freeze, torpor, or something.
So I believe in canon, 1 shot stuns, 2 shots kills, 3 shots disintegrates.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that would be honestly simplest to do with just 1 bullet type
Yeah.
and just have a buff that does a counter and how many hits equals the effect.
Yeah, but and this is my personal opinion, some dinosaurs are really big and sturdy creatures, and I'm not really sure if it's canon that one shot of the Z would be able to take out a really, really big and strong creature like a Giga, for example.
Yeah,
Well,
that's something we'll have to discuss in more detail, I think.
Yeah, one thing I also noticed in canon and the show and whatnot, some of the larger creatures and even just some of those creatures, some of the people that had higher constitution, like say Goa'uld, for example, um, it would sometimes take or it would sometimes take more than just one to stun something.
That's
So
exactly what I'm going for.
So I'm thinking if there was, and this would be an Astrolam aspect, I'm thinking if there's a way to have some kind of table set up where if it's this size, this weight, this creature, or whatever,
So
that it'll
there's a
have.
built-in size for every dino. So we could have it for small dinos, it'd be this number hits, for medium, be this number hits, for large, this number, etc.
Yeah, Astro
So
would know.
that's kind of an already built-in thing.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how all of that is set up or built. I figured there was because they're similar to how the kibble works. I figured it might, creature-wise, might be somewhat similar but different to the kibble. That was the
I
idea
think
I
it's pretty
had.
much the same thing.
Yeah, so that was the idea I had with that just now. So yeah, it could tier up and change for each creature. Like the Giga or whatnot could take 5 to stun instead of 1, for example. It could be a multiplication for, like, if it's tier 5, then it's 5 times as many, like, for it.
But if it's a bigger creature that takes more shots to stun, it would also consequently take more shots to kill it after it is stunned, right?
Yeah.
So if you say, shoot a Giga 5 times, and it collapses, and you accidentally shoot it one more time, it's not just dead.
Yeah, it would. I would say if it takes 5 to stun, it would take a total of 10 to kill, so an extra 5. And then if you want to completely disintegrate it, if that's even something Art can do, then I would say an extra 5. So a total of 15 shots to make a Giga just disappear.
That's a lot of ammunition.
It's also it's a lot more balanced than 3-shot disintegrate, and
Yeah.
that's the hard part that as developers for a mod and not just a whole new game that we have to kind of juggle around and work with, like how are we going to balance this for this game and how it works.
I mean, let's be honest here. There is another mod that you have that's also on this Discord here, your balanced narcotic mods. And that one, if you really go all the way with the research and take the highest tier narcotic, you can knock out even the strongest creatures with just a few bullets. So the Z weapon, as an alternative to that in the Stargate mod, would be just the same, wouldn't it?
I've not actually played with that one much at all myself. So I don't know actually how many shots it takes for that one. But if it's like 5 shots to knock it out, then it's about the same. So I'm not sure how the balanced narcotics plays out. I've not delved into it very deep. But if it's about 5, then it would be about equal. And these are just kind of rough numbers right now because we don't know what the I don't know what the actual size for each one is. So a Giga could be 4 or could be 6. I don't know. I'm not in the dev kit. I don't work with that stuff. Astrolam does. So most of that stuff kind of goes over my head, and that's why I refer back to Astrolam and Drake BD when that kind of topic comes up about something that I haven't already asked about.
Yeah, I've just opened the workshop page of the balanced narcotic mods here, and the 30cc trank dart, for example, says here in the mod description it's 30 times the power of a normal dart. So you can figure out how much stronger this thing is.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, one shot with the power of 30 trank arrows, or trank darts, one shot with the power of 30 of them, that will nuke out, it will knock out almost any creature that is capable of being knocked out by trank.
Yeah, that would be quite a bit. If a normal one does like 12, then 12 times 30. So if it's 360, then you'll have probably the first two sized creatures get knocked out. So it seems like it'll be about equal to the way that we're thinking about doing the Zat gun.
So taming a Quetz or a Giga will be very easy if you are using the Z.
Yeah. And I think one thing we're also going to do is add in a INI config for that, because not all server admins are going to want it to be that easy or even take that many shots for it. So if you wanted to make it double or something, instead of 5 shots for a giga, make it 10 to knock it out. I think having that as a config setting would be the best way to approach something like that.
Yeah, I can definitely see your point.
Do you have any other questions?
Not right now, but let me think for a moment. Well, how about this? You said things about events like dinosaurs or other creatures coming out of the gates. So if you don't have an iris to protect your base, you'll get destroyed. On that matter, will we get a feature for the iris to close on itself on an incoming wormhole?
I think I'm gonna let Astrolam take that one on.
That's not currently planned. You will be able to close the iris while the gate is inactive. So that when the gate opens or whatever, then you don't have to worry about things going through it unless you want them to. That's something we can consider, though. Obviously, the both Industry 1 and Atlantis, they had a manual control for all that. But there's no reason that a computer can't detect an incoming wormhole and automatically engage an iris.
Yeah, well, the iris doesn't require any additional power as of now, right? So you can keep it closed
Currently, no.
permanently.
Yeah. At least the SGC iris. The Atlantis iris will have a config setting that will allow it to drain power.
Which would make sense because it's an energy-based shield and not a physical shield.
Indeed.
And
But
that will be coming in the Gate Overhaul update. It's not already there.
Yep.
In the part 2, you mean? Yeah.
I don't actually remember whether I had that for part 1 or 2.
But on that matter, as it is right now, a closed iris could be opened by anyone, isn't it? As it is right now, so you dial a gate, and if the iris is closed, you could use the DHD to open the iris of the target gate.
I think the way it's set up right now, in the currently released version, I think it prevents. It checks if you are in the same tribe as the owner of the target gate, and if so, then you can't change. You can't open or close the iris remotely. In the update, that will be the case for sure.
Yeah, because one of the features that we talked about was the garage door opener. And if that thing is coming, the ability to open or close the iris of the target date from the dialing DHD will be removed, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, because this GDO is an item that would be another thing. If you kill a player and you loot his garage door opener, can you open the iris of that tribe?
I would think not, because you don't know what their iris code is.
So it's
Because
not
the
sending the
GDO,
code.
the GDO, canonly in the show was just the device to send the signal of the code. They still had to push in what the actual code was. So if somebody inputted the incorrect code, it would get locked out.
Right, it was like that. I wasn't sure if it was a device where you manually have to input a code, or if the code is saved on the GDO and you just have to press a button for it to send the code, and the computer in the Stargate Center checks for the code and sees, yes, that's SG1, open the iris.
I'm not sure if this is possible. Astrolam can say basically yes, no, or explain or whatever. But we might be able to essentially make the GDO a gate only pin code interface or something. Like you got it on your wrist or something. You hit 7 to use it. Another key or whatever, then like a keypad interface comes up, and then you can just quickly type in 1982 or whatever, and your iris opens.
That was more or less what I had planned for the GDO.
Yeah, so there you have it on that one.
I mean, it could be a future. It could be a feature like we already have with the gates. You can see gates on your gate list that are your tribe's gates, but you can't see the gates that are other tribes' gates.
Mm-hmm.
And couldn't you, in a similar way, make it so that you can save the code on the GDO and just need to click like you do with the address in the address list of the gate? But other players, if they loot that item, they can't see the code because it isn't theirs.
Yes, but if they have some way to learn the code, then they could use it. But they have to learn it some other means, yes.
I mean, they can't just craft. I guess you will make it in a way that they can't just craft their own GDO and open the iris, even if they know the code, because you need a GDO that was crafted by the same tribe that also crafted the gate and the iris.
That would actually be an interesting extra mechanic for that, and I think that would be
it's a safe mechanism.
I think that would be a cool idea to implement too.
I mean, if I wanted to raid a tribe and I somehow managed to get their code out of them, like someone drops the code on accident in global chat instead of tribe chat. Now I have the code. I craft my own GDO, enter the base, and wreck them with my strongest creatures. That would be, unfortunate to say the least.
Yeah, I think the whole tribe and tribe crafted requirement wouldn't be it wouldn't be hard to implement from how I've talked to Astro before, and that it is probably the best way that the GDO a GDO type device could be implemented. That way you have to know the code, and you also have to have a GDO crafted by them. So that would be, as far as I can think of with ideas, the best way to do it.
Yes, I mean, as it is now, you already need to set a gate to private if you want to implement an iris on the gate. And you can only do that if your tribe was the one that created and placed this gate. You can't just set a gate to private that isn't your own tribe's gate.
Yeah, having a gate, that would, again, make sense, where you can't change, another tribe's stuff. And I think that's how we're going to implement, most of our stuff for stuff like that. And I also actually, I just thought of this. I can actually answer some questions that were put onto YouTube for the last few videos.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah, why not? Like, okay. Let's see here. Okay, so this is one of the few questions that actually I have not already answered, or it'll deal with the ring overhaul, the ring system overhaul. How do I make the black small teleport rings not usable to others besides my tribe mates? From Eddie Mullery. Sorry if I butchered the name. So this would go to the ring overhaul, and right now I don't think there's really a way to not have outside of tribe use the transport rings. But
so basically right now the only way to prevent others from using the Goa ult rings would be put your rings behind a door.
Well, it depends on if the rings are if both the rings are behind a door, or if like you have one ring outside and you have the other one going inside. So if you've got one on the outside, one on the inside, they would be able to effectively get inside. But the way to counter this, what I would say for right now, is have one right outside your door, and then put one right inside your door for 2 different sets. That way, if you have a further off place somewhere else that you need to get back to your base for, you can use the rings, get right to your door, run inside, and use the other rings if you need to go somewhere else, specifically inside your base. That's how I would do it for right now. And I know this is ahead of time, Astro, but do you think that kind of stuff will be changed in the ring overhaul?
There's probably going to be several things changing in the ring overhaul. I can't say exactly what, because I haven't really used the rings myself, and I haven't looked at the code for them at all yet.
One thing that is for sure, the ring overhaul will feature this keypads that the rings use in the series, so that you can dial rings.
You want to give an answer on that one, Astro?
I mean, that's not... I can totally do that.
Yes, from the conversations we've had...
to how the rings work, or how the gates work.
Yeah, from the conversations we've had in short passing and whatnot on it, is that the rings are going to be similar to the gates. They're going to have their own new UI for their dialing and to each other and whatnot. And instead of just closest or whatnot, we're going to have the keypads set up so that you can dial to any ring within range. So instead of having to have multiple rings for each set and having one huge giant hub, you'll be able to have one ring that inside your main base that you can use to go to anywhere else within range.
Yeah, the ring hub, the ring hub. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I've had to build them myself.
It's the largest room in my base.
Yep, because essentially you need 2 rings to go anywhere right now. And that is something that we're going to be working on removing and fixing, where you can dial through their own special UI for any of the rings that's within range.
But you could also make this UI having its own address book, just like with the gates. And you can say, okay, this is the ring that goes to the gate room, this is the ring that goes to the bedroom, this is the ring that goes to the crafting room.
Yep, that was part of the idea that we were working on with it. Have a list on the side. Also be able to input the code or whatever for it. And a few other things that we haven't really grounded out yet.
And again, you could make it so that only the tribe mates can actually see the addresses.
Yep, we will be able to do that. We will also be working on probably doing something similar to what's coming with the Gate Overhaul. And the webcam last time kind of blocked it out a little bit, so it couldn't show it as well. But with the gates, with the overhaul, the names are going to have they're going to be color coded, and you can have tribes and ally gates in there. And we may or may not do something similar with the rings. Like if you and your allies make a base right next to each other, we might give an option on the radial menu for, okay, set to tribe only, set to ally only, set to public. That's what's going to be coming with the gate overhaul and the gates. Again, the camera the webcam for myself kind of blocked out the visual as Astro was explaining it, but we did cover that a little bit in the last video.
Yeah, there's also that thing about, as we are talking about gates on the address list. Oh, Astro dropped out.
Yeah, he told me that he had to jump out in a bit.
Yeah, no problem. The thing is, if I remember correctly, on the video, you said that as it is currently, gates that don't have a name will not appear on the gate list, as it is now.
Yes.
And I have personally more or less abused this feature, as I call it, to set up gates in secret places for people to find the gate address by several means. And if they find the gate address, they can enter the code, dial the gate, and get a reward. Also, one
like
of the
scavenger treasure hunts or whatnot. Yeah, we talked a little bit about. We've talked about that a few different times.
And another thing is that I have a prison on one of my maps that is underwater, and it also has a gate. And I made this prison into a somewhat sadistic minigame. Like, people that break the rules go to prison. Okay, that much understandable. But the prison has a gate. And in theory, their tribe mates could try to enter the gate and free their imprisoned tribe mates, which some people tried, but nobody has found the address yet. And the next thing, of course, is that the inmates can try to escape through yet another death game that I have set up in my prison. But too many details. And
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, with the Gate Overhaul, even gates that do not have a name will appear on the address list.
If I remember the conversation with Astrolam before, that at a minimum is going to have an option for it in one way or another. Whether it be an INI config setting, or if it's going to be radial menu, or if it's just in the UI or something. From what I remember with the conversations with him and Drake before, we don't want to force something like that on players the same way we don't want to force the kill mechanics. They're going to default be off.
So by default, gates won't show if they don't have a name by default.
I don't remember or know what the default is going to be, because we never really gotten that far on that particular aspect. It just, what I remember is there going to be some form of option one way or the other. The kill mechanics are going to be default off, because when the update goes out, nobody will be expecting that. They used gates, dial, or whatever, kaboom. So, and that not everybody's going to want it. Not everybody wants to deal with INI configs, and so it's just better community-wise and whatnot to have it default as off.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and the same for gates not appearing on the list if they are not named, because I can imagine there are other players that set up gates as a scavenger hunt.
Yeah,
treasure
players
hunt,
or admins that are going to do it.
And they don't want those gates suddenly all of them popping up on the address list as soon as the Gate Overhaul is installed on their servers.
Yeah.
So I would say it's better to default this setting to the way it is now, that unnamed gates will not appear on the list unless you manually make them appear on the list.
Yeah. At minimum, what I would say is put that into our suggestions channel, and that way we can have that visual reminder for it. That's why most ideas that we come up with will either be currently working on or whatnot, but we've got our own kind of channels for that stuff. And we've got our own little task lists and whatever. But for as I'm saying this to the rest of the community, any kind of idea like that, go ahead and put it into the Stargate Evolution suggestions channel. That way we will have that visual reminder, that visual idea that, okay, we need to look into this and see how to apply it in various ways. Just so things don't get forgotten or lost in the long, monotonous level of work that is done in various things.
I mean, the Gate Overhaul seems to be a pretty big thing if you have to split it into parts.
Yeah, it's a lot of code redoing, and that's what's been taking so long. The majority of it was literally just redoing the code into parent blueprints, taking everything out of the gates, everything out of the DHDs, putting it into a parent blueprint for them, where then the gates can reference from it. So it was redoing everything. It's redoing animations, energy, connectivity, how the UI works. It was just redoing everything from scratch. About. So that's why it's taken so long for Astro to work on that. Because it's literally redoing everything from scratch and designing it in a way where we can then in the future add in other gates where they can actually connect. We mentioned this briefly in the last video, that if we were to put in the Milky Way gates without doing all of that, that the Pegasus gates could not dial the Milky Way gates and vice versa. It was literally set up as two completely different gate systems.
Yeah, that wouldn't go with the lore, right?
Yeah, that wouldn't go with the lore, and not only that, but it would just make too much of a problem with the community and trying to actually have any of it implemented into the mod and into the game. So we had to redo all of that, and with only Astrolam doing it, it's just him working on that aspect of it because I'm dealing with the community side of it. Astrolam deals with the graphing stuff, the graph stuff, and Drake deals with several other aspects as well. So right now it's just a very small, limited team, and we're kind of honed in, focused on certain things, and that's part of why the animations are kind of wonky for different things, and why we haven't added in like the puddle jumper or different weapons, because we don't have somebody that really deals with animations. So since we don't have somebody that directly deals with them, those that don't usually have to put extra time to try to get it to work correctly, and so things get slowed down significantly when dealing with animations. The animations for trying to work on the Milky Way gate probably have taken him a total of 2 or 3 weeks just to get them to where they were in the video.
Yeah, that I can imagine. And let's not forget, you guys are not some highly professional modders working for some high-end gaming industry that, I mean, what I want to say is you're not working for a big studio like Blizzard or Square Enix. You're doing this on your own in your free time. Nobody is paying you for this.
Yes.
So and you're not a big team of
We're not a big team. We don't have, the only kind of funds we have are our amazing patrons or anybody that donates through PayPal. It's all donation based, not mandatory or anything. We have a few that do that, and they're amazing. They're also amazing members of the community because they do a lot of interaction and they do a lot of helping others with different things too. So we've got a really great community overall as well. But yeah, we have one person that does community stuff, Discord stuff. That's me. We have Drake BD that does kind of the overall picture. He does textures and stuff. We have Lauren that does all the like background back-end stuff, like managing the repository, working on building the website or stuff like that. And we have Astrolam that does all the major coding and graph work for how Arc works on little graph snippets or whatever. All of that coding stuff, Astro is dealing with that. So it's essentially a 4-person team with completely different aspects for each of us.
Yeah, and some people sometimes I get the feeling that some people think creating a mod is as simple as just typing a few lines of codes.
Yeah, no. I've
maybe works for
actually
fanfic
looked into how a lot of it works, and it's like, okay, this is really confusing to me. Even just visual representations of it all, it's very confusing. If you don't already have a knack for it, you're gonna struggle.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
while we're on the whole topic of limited team and whatnot, I do also want to add in that this isn't exactly a question that's been asked or anything, but I do want to mention that while we're partially on the topic, I have been working on a pair of channels in the Discord server. It's Joblist and application info. And what these two channels are is basically, okay, so these are the different positions and and what they do and who they work with that we're trying to find. Application info is basically how you would apply for that. I've not yet completed all of the different application setups for all of them. Right now, it's only the junior moderator that I have set up. But I'm trying to get things set up where we can actually start having more people join the dev team and join the moderation team to help me watch over the server and keep things chill and whatnot. So right now, since I'm recording a video, I'm going to be going through and just kind of skimming through the job list and applications info. So we got several positions. We've got mobile, we got vertical mobility. So here are the requirements. Must be active, dedicated, and stick around. Experienced and professional. English fluently. Good grammar. 18 years or older. An application. Follow the application's info link. Must work for free, because again, we're just doing this in our spare time, and so we don't have funds to pay anybody. We're not some big company or anything. You got to be active and friendly. If you have any questions or want to apply, you can contact me, Raovake. Available positions, we have animator, you rigger character creature. It's a dev position. You make models have animations, rigging skeletons, models, and whatnot. 3D modeler, environmental asset and character dev position. You make models that are then animated, if not static, by animators. You work closely with animators and artists, and the animator works with 3D modelers and artists. The artist, asset, character, and environmental dev position. You design and sketch concepts that the 3D modeler will make. This is basically you're our concept artists. So if we don't have if the 3D modelers don't have a reference image that we can use to design something, you guys would be the ones to make that reference. Designer, you work with level systems and AI, dev position. You work heavily in designing systems. This is kind of what Astro Lam is. He's the designer for this. He deals with the systems. Heavy use in graph work and coding work. Or those that design levels, maps, map extensions. You add stuff to maps or you make maps. Senior moderator, this is the third level and the highest you can get in moderation. You can kick, but you can also ban members when needed. So this is okay, some serious nonsense just went down in the server and you need to kick or ban somebody. You guys are the ones that are going to do it if I'm not there. General moderator, moderator team, senior moderator, moderator team. This is the second position in moderation. You will be handling and watching chats in the Discord or in-game if you have them, ensuring that all members follow the rules and we remain friendly and non-toxic. We want a friendly and non-toxic community here. We don't want all kinds of chaos and whatnot with issues or problems coming up, as well as clearing anything from trolls. That's really, these positions are for the moderators aren't overly needed right now. We don't have a lot of nonsense going on for the most part. We're also very quick to deal with it. So, research and development team, you guys are under specialists category. This position does research on ways to improve the Discord server and mods, and assists in developing it. So this is more like, okay, well, I noticed this channel needs better refining. This channel could be merged with that channel. Or maybe, okay, this could be a good idea for the mod. Let's get this under consideration, that kind of stuff. Analyst, you periodically analyze different sets of data. This would likely go into the Discord server. The mods, making sure things are spelled correctly, whatnot, and any content guides, making sure that, okay, we're not missing any bits of information. Junior moderator, this one is currently the only one set up that has an application set up. You can clear you're going to be watching chat channels and can either clear the message or will inform a moderator. I need to edit that to say general moderator or senior moderator. Advertisement team specialists, you help with bump bots, working with or are YouTubers or streamers. You help get awareness of Exodus games out into the world and of our different mods. Streamer, YouTuber, that one's kind of straightforward. Bug hunter, kind of straightforward. You help make sure that any bugs, errors, or inconsistencies in the mods are hunted down and dealt with. Applications info, so I'm going to run through this real quick too. So this is where you would go to find out how and what you need to do for doing an application for something. If you found yourself here, you're likely wanting to join our team, and that's great. We currently use the Appy bot. Right now it's out of like 6 bots. It's the only one that I liked. So the bots are, the commands are typed out in this particular channel. Important notes. So this is actually, and I did probably 6 tests for this. The following is the list of various things that can be submitted in the application. Photos, links, compressed folders, text, and similar items that Discord supports messages for. You can actually put on a full-on compressed folder into your application. All of these items will show up on the applications when submitted. This is beneficial for any portfolios, links to videos that you have that show skills, like if you know how to work through stuff in the Unreal Engine, or if you've made different models or whatnot, you can submit all of that stuff to show us. And again, this is just the different ones that you can fill out. The one that shows completed is Junior Moderator. It's the only one right now. And if you want to know what they do, you can jump back to Joblist. You use the !apply command. For an example is !apply Junior Moderator in that channel. Then it will DM you and it will start the process there. So I just wanted to run through that real quick on that, since that was a topic. Now that I covered the whole job position thing, are there any other questions you have for Exodus games in general, Stargate Evolution, anything else?
No, not for the moment, but I can really see that you're trying to put a team together for not only the growth of this server, but also for this mod project and for future mod projects. So I hope you get some applications.
Yeah, we're trying to. I'm starting to try to put things together for a team and trying to slowly expand stuff because we don't want to have like 50 million people all at once. That would just be overwhelming. Because we want to try to build a kind of a close knit group where we trust each other. We kind of have an idea of what everybody's going to think or the idea for the next step. But we have things just open to start with. That way we can go from there and just find out who fits best into basically our mission and our community and just the way that we're trying to run things and design things. Since it's popping up on the recording right now, I'm also working on setting up translation channels and going to be adding a translation bot. I'm adding in several. I think the max I'm going to do is 20. I think having 20 languages is more than reasonable. English, Spanish, German, Polish, French, Russian, Italian, Vietnamese, and I think this one was Netherlands. So we're gonna be working. I'm gonna be working on getting that set up as well. That way we can actually have a wider audience and a larger community.
And if need arises, you could add more languages to the translation bot, right?
The translation bot itself supports probably 100 or more. The reason why I'm thinking of limiting it to around 20-ish is I'm planning on making roles that will then unlock each of the channels, because how the bot works is if you ping like, say for example, everyone, the bot will translate that ping into the other channels, and if everybody can see each channel, if there's 20 channels with one ping, you just got 20 pings.
Ouch.
Yeah, so instead of doing 20 pings all at once, you might get one or two if you have like the normal announcement channel and then it gets translated to English or whatever into the English channel or whatnot. So I'm going to be making 20 roles, and the two reasons why is, one, the category would get decently long for those that can actually see everything. And the fact that reaction roles have a limit of 20 reactions per message. And so top 20 languages or whatnot, I know that doesn't cover everyone in the world or everyone in the world, but we gotta do things kind of slowly, and maybe slowly add more afterward, but we're gonna start with the max at 20.
I think as long as you cover those languages that are most widely spread around the world, like, as you said already, English, German, French, Spanish.
Yep, we're gonna cover
Russian,
the ones that the top 20 widely used languages in the world. I think that gives it a solid balance right there. And how the bot will work is, if someone types something in German in the German language channel, it will actually translate it and put it into the English channel. And if somebody says something in the English channel, it will then translate it to the other channels. Where
so basically
you could have a full-on
your language.
Yes, you could type in the channel of your language and it will translate it to every other language that's set up.
So you can type and read everything that is written on the server in a channel of your language that you chose, and the same things are in every other channels for every other language, but translated into that language.
So like if, for example, if I make an announcement in English, if I have it set, if I have it set up to translate from announcement channel into the other language channels, it will actually take that announcement and put it in all of the other channels and translate it to that language.
Well, makes sense. Makes sense. But it won't like auto-translate if I were to type something in, let's say, off-topic chit-chat. I type something in German or Japanese or whatever, not English. It will not auto-translate that into English.
I've not decided yet if I want to try to make everything in the server translate into those channels, because we currently have around 500 people in the server, and if things did get real lively, and say there were like 30 people talking in one channel, 30 people talking in another, and 30 in another, you're gonna have a really long, confusing string of messages going on. You're gonna have, if you got 3 channels and 30 people talking, each one sends one message, you just got 90 messages in the translation channel.
Yes, that's maybe a lot too much.
Yeah, so what I was going to have done is set up anything like announcements, polls, or whatever, have all of those get auto-translated, because those are going to be important stuff that needs to be known right off the bat. I'm going to likely see about trying to have different things like information channels translated into different languages in like Google Docs, and then in those channels have have like, for example, German and then Dutch or whatnot. Each one have a link where they can click the link, and it will take them to the Google Doc that has the whole information for that translated into that language in that, on that tab for it. That way they can still understand and read it, and it still have a wide range of languages, but it's instead of using the flag a flag reaction, because the bot currently does not do, the one I'm going to use does not have flag to DM, it has flag to same channel, and that would just
Can't change it.
it's not a feature. It's not a feature of that bot yet that I'm going to be using. So instead of doing that, I'm going to get several of the different languages translated from the info channels, put into a Google document, and have it set up. Okay, this is this channel of this language, and I'm going to essentially have Google Docs, a sheet for each, a document for each language of each of the pages, each of the info channels. Like, for example, welcome. And I'm essentially going to have each excuse me, each document is going to have several tabs. Like, it's going to have a welcome tab, and it's going to have a, let's see here, what's the next one, rules tab, and a staff tab, social media, donation, important links, and all of those things are going to be a tab translated on the on the Google Sheet, on the Google Docs. So like, I'm gonna have a folder of, okay, there's Russian, there's German, there's Italian, there's Spanish, each, and there's going to be a document for each one. In each document, I'm going to have a language set up for, or have a tab set up for each of these pages. So everybody will get to see, well, 20 languages at least will get to see the rules in their language.
Makes sense.
So, just trying to do a little bit of inclusion with languages, because I know a lot of people have to use like Google Translate just to be able to communicate with anybody here. And while it's increasing the burden on me, I don't really mind it, and it will be just a benefit in the long run anyway. So I figure it's something that should at least sooner or later slowly get added. Any last questions about any of the mods? Any of the plans for the Discord? Plans for anything else?
No, I'd say we could call it here.
Okay. So again, I am Raovake Gaming, Community Manager for Exodus Games, and this was our first community podcast Q&A. We had guest appearance from Astrolam, our graphics coding dev, and Shigoki, and I also referenced a few questions from the Discord and one from one of the YouTube videos that we've got. I'm going to put the links for several different things in the description below. For example, the Discord server, our different mods are going to be in the description as well. And I would like to welcome anybody else to join the next one. I will make an announcement, and I will also make a poll to figure out what days and times work best for everyone. This was kind of a few days spur of the moment idea, almost. So the next one I'm going to do, going to have a little bit more extra time set up ahead of time, and I'm going to try to do a poll to see when everybody can attend to get more people to join. So again, I hope to see more people for the next one. That'll be EG, or Exodus Games Community Podcast number 2. Again, I hope to see everybody. Have a good day. This is Raovake, Community Manager of Exodus Games, signing off. Thank you for joining us, Shigoki.
No problem.
See ya, everyone.
Bye-bye.